got a bunch of stuff to chat with you today before heading out.
Yeah.
So. A couple of actually that might be major issues. You know.
Oh, okay. Have any more of those PayPal payments been delayed?
I don't know. I know there are a bunch of incomplete orders in the box that don't have a matching, but I went to check the PayPal IPN, because on your computer, the IPNs are coming.
Right.
And they do come instantly. And the ones that were missing, the IPNs were there, but we haven't been following
Checking two places for it.
So PayPal's been doing what they're supposed to do. The instant payment notification does come through, and the emails get delayed.
Interesting.
So that's one thing on my list to touch base with you today, so you can see those. Because the IPNs are on the big iMac upstairs.
Okay, got it.
And that's the data. That's the main data. Is the IPN.
Mm-hmm. According to Gamma says, you should bring summer clothes with you. I bet the house you'll be hosted in will be way warmer than your Japanese one.
Oh, sure, of course. I mean, that's a common thing. So, you know, Canada is colder than maybe here, but it's also warmer because the houses are normal. Japan might be warm on the outside, but colder on the inside. You know? Yeah. Absolutely. Those of us who lived here well know that. You know? So we have to bundle up indoors more than we have to bundle up outdoors, literally.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to make a bit of noise here, actually. It's going to be noise time here.
Well, apparently we briefly lost the stream during that mission, but it went down and came right back up. Yeah.
Well, when we turned the camera?
I guess so. I didn't see it flash red, but they said, oh, it's down, and then, oh, we're back. So.
Right. Sorry about that. I thought I turned it pretty carefully, so.
Oh, we're here.
Where's my stick? I'm not sure where the camera should be here, so whatever, I'll just get it. We can do one people. Okay, here we go. We're going to make noise for a couple of minutes. The next step, for those of you who haven't seen this before, I'm going to use a hammer and chisels to run around the outside of our block. So there'll be a period of 2 minutes or so, 2 or 3 minutes of quite noise and banging, and then we'll be back to quiet work. Good to go? Am I okay?
Think so.
Okay, I can't see where I am anymore, so it's up to you. So.
Good. Looking good. Beat the devil out of it. I think that's
Bob Ross. Yes, so. I should learn the catchphrases. Yeah. What's the deal? I should study up more a bit. You know. If we're gonna do this, we should do it properly. You know? And one day, I've got to get a wig one day. Just we've got to do that. April 1st or something.
Yeah.
We've got to get the wig. Actually, what was the plan, right, for next April 1st?
Yeah.
There's 3 or 4 parts to this. I don't know if we should talk about this because I don't know what we're going to do. Get the wig, come on.
Yeah.
And then do the video. And then, good afternoon, this is Woodbuck American David here, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then what we're going to do today is something a little bit different for you. And what I'm going to do is, by popular request, I've got a book beside me. And by popular request, what I'm going to do today is we're going to read the Tokyo phone book.
The Tokyo phone.
Because I get this all the time. I'd be happy just to watch a stream of David reading the phone book. I get the Tokyo phone book. And we pull the phone book down, and I'll go, Akiyama Akio. 749 6276. And turn the page with a real crinkly page turn. It's just be so much fun.
Yeah.
I shouldn't.
I thought you were going to do an oil painting.
You actually do a Bob Ross painting,
Yeah.
you know, clone one of his actual videos, right? Practice up and learn how to do it. Get Jed to give me a design or something and whatever. Yeah. Or start doing it, get stuck partway through and get my little headset and call, Jed, look, I'm partway through, so I need some help. I need some design help. We can really play the game. Yeah, up to the left. Okay, a bit more to the left. Okay. What about the happy trees? Jed, where should I put the happy little trees? You know? Jed coaches me over the headset here. You know? I think Jed's on today here.
Haven't seen them yet.
What's that? There's some kind of game show, isn't there? I forget, a TV game show or panel show where they ask the people questions. And the people are allowed to like make a phone call to some friend or something.
Yes.
I don't know the background to this. I've never seen
You want
it.
to be a millionaire, something like that.
And if you can't answer the question, you're allowed a phone call to somebody or whatever? Or?
Phone a friend and ask the audience a little bit.
So if I could do that, then, oh my God, do I put the happy tree here or here?
Yeah.
Maybe I get a chance to phone Jed or something to ask me about this, whatever. And it's the middle of the night, and Jed wakes up and says, Dave, it's 4 o'clock in the morning, and what are you going? I said, Jed, I need some.
John Becker says there was a guy in Philadelphia who did that Sunday mornings on the radio station. His parents listened to readings from the Philadelphia White Pages.
Really. Yeah. Well, it's funny you mention that because I have no sense that I have any special radio voice or whatever. Absolutely not. You know, whatever. And when I was growing up, a friend of my dad's, his name was Fraser McPherson. He was a tenor saxophone player. He's quite well known in Canada. He's gone now. He's passed away a long time ago. And he was a fairly big-chested guy, a heavy smoker. And he had the radio voice to die for. And because he was in the CBC studios a lot through studio work, musical work, the CBC people knew about himself. And I guess he got offered time and time again. And I can't do it. He had the most resonant baritone, perfect radio voice that you had ever heard in your life. You know? And it was a real thing. And he was, just the perfect. You know? So for me, having known him, people are asking me, you should do more audio recording and stuff like this. You know? Yeah. I'm a little weak-chested. I've got no resonance. Nothing. It's just not there. You know? He was a cool guy, really cool guy. I used to go to his house and play chess sometimes.
Oh.
They gave him the Order of Canada at one point. He was sort of semi-famous in musical circles. Back in the year, we're talking about 1950s, 1960s, 1970s.
Yeah.
And there was a nightclub in Canada called The Cave. It was just decked out in like plastic, looked like a cave.
Okay.
And because there was a number of really competent musicians in Vancouver at the time, even though Vancouver was the boonies, the sticks, the hicks, there were a number of competent musicians there. And LA acts used to do their warm-up before they were ready to start their LA show. They'd go to The Cave and do 10 days or something, or a week in Vancouver, to take their show and hone it and see which songs worked and didn't do. And Fraser McPherson and his orchestra, of which my dad was the baritone sax player, were the first orchestras to seize. Now, it wasn't like Frank Sinatra level. It was, Gitsy Maynard, Mitzi Gaynor, and people like this, and Jack Jones and all those kind of people. And they would prep their LA stuff in Vancouver.
Yeah.
And Fraser McPherson was the guy who put this orchestra together. It was a really big deal. I used to get out there, and on the way back, for me, I'd go to the youth orchestra rehearsals or whatever, a couple times a week downtown. And then because there were no buses to go back out to where we lived in Ladner, I'd go to the Cave, hang out backstage, wait till my dad was finished the show, and then go home with him. So.
Nice.
So I was backstage with a whole bunch of these things, tryouts for LA shows with all these super people, Lena Horne and whatever. And it just washed over me. I didn't pay any attention to it and stuff like this.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I'm supposed to be working here. So. Give me a little bit more room there. Is that your breakfast?
What?
Did you have breakfast? Is that your stomach rumbling or mine?
Yes, I ate, but processing.
I don't think we need to know that. Conversation or silence? What's audio?
They're chatting a little bit.
It's Sunday, eh? Over here.
Someone suggested you make a painting and then have Jed carve it. Trade jobs for a bit.
Like for a charity deal or something,
Yeah.
you sell at auction or whatever it is. What I design, you mean, and Jed
Yeah.
carved it.
Accordion gummy asks, why in Japanese shops do we often see prices with and without taxes? Is that not normal in other places? Most places I thought were, I don't know if it's required, but it's normal for them to show the price including tax, the sales tax, and sometimes they also show the price without the tax. But
When consumption tax started, there was a huge social question about this. Should it be shown as price of the goods, 100 yen, plus tax? At that time it was
108.
3%, first time 5 was 3. And the government tried to force it that it should be hidden in the price, because they didn't want people to realize they were paying. You know, if you put it separately, then people at the cash register see, oops, I am giving extra money to the government. So they tried to roll it. And the original laws stated that prices must be shown tax inclusive. And I understand that the current status of the law is that that's not the case. So you can choose whichever way to do it. So, but it must be posted on the door of the premises, so that when people go in, there's a sign that says taxes in these premises are included. Yeah. No, not the number, but they're included or they're separate. And we're in violation. In our case, we aren't including them, and that's supposed to be posted on the door of the premises when we come in. And it's going to be a nightmare in October. Not for us, but for supermarkets. So. For those who don't know, they're raising the tax rate from 8 to 10 in October. But because of the blowback from many social groups, it's too tough for poor people, stuff like that. There are going to be many, many, many exemptions. Certain foodstuffs and stuff like this. So some stuff is remaining at 8, some's going to 10, and some's going to be tax exempt. And there's a bunch of bizarre regulations, like if it's food things that you put in a plastic bag and carry home, it's some tax rate. If it's an eat-in place inside the 7-Eleven or the supermarket, it's a different tax rate. Yeah. And if the plates are plastic or if the plates are paper, it's a different. It's insane.
Yeah, U.S. has similar bizarre rules where eat-in versus takeout have different rates depending on your city. I think it's. city sales tax.
Well, this, of course, is going to be national.
Yeah, so that's what I didn't like about the U.S. Price listed is never what you actually pay.
Ah, it's okay.
Taxes and then tips if you're at a restaurant.
Yeah. And we get a bit of problem here. I've tried to train Koizumi-san specifically, keeps making the same mistake. He says to the customers, if you have your passport, I can give you tax off.
Yeah.
And the price doesn't change. If you give
Yeah.
me your passport, I can stop putting tax on. You're not going to avoid tax.
Yeah.
Okay, almost finished the noise. Thanks for your patience, Kang. Couple more taps, that's it.
You don't have to tip if you don't want to. It depends on where.
So you stiff the girl, is that the
Yeah.
idea? Yeah.
You get paid $2 an hour because there's bosses expecting them to get tips. If you don't pay them, that's kind of sad.
It's not sad, it's abusive.
Yeah.
You may not like the idea, but that's the way the culture works.
Yeah.
There was one I had back in Vancouver, this is more 30 or 40 years ago. There was a little local Vietnamese restaurant near our music shop. And it was a little hole-in-the-wall place, and it was owned and operated by some at that time they were refugees, they're Canadian citizens now, probably, I'm sure, a group from Vietnam. And it was a family, and they had rented the place themselves and did it themselves. So the guy cooked in the back, and the wife came out and served tables and stuff like this, you know. And the boss, he said, I never tip there. Well, what's this? He said, well, it's not a waitress, that's the family. They get paid for the food, they put the menu up, the price, and that's it. You're buying it from the family. The guy cooks in the back, and the woman brings it to the table. She's not a waitress. She's not getting paid. I mean, it's the family. Their pay is the money they get from the income of the business minus their expenses. You know?
Yeah.
And it was sort of a point, I get that. That wasn't a salaried employee, or it wasn't a person who was an employee, yeah. But
yeah. So is Canada pretty similar to the US in tipping expectations?
I have no idea now. I mean,
Yeah.
I myself, I never know what to do. I know next week when I'm out with my daughter for dinner,
Yeah.
and it gets to be check time, I'll say, pick up the check, and I'll ask her, what do I do?
Yeah.
And she'll say, Dad, just tip her. I'll say, that's nice to say. What do I do? How do I do this? How much do I do it? How do I do it physically? Money on the table, credit card, what's the deal? You know?
Yeah.
Because I don't have any idea. It's easy for her to say, Dad, just do it. If you don't know how to do it, because I've been out of there for like 35 years. You know.
You're going to be staying in pretty much the same spot.
I'm going to stay right there. My finger is where the hot spot is. If you find the spot right there. Okay?
Okay. So was all the paper souped yesterday, someone asked? All the dosa and everything?
Well, I did it yesterday, hung it up, and this morning, what I've got to do this morning, part of my last jobs today, is I've got to take some of it down and press it for kanai-san. And the other girls are here, will take care of their own paper. I've marked which is which and who belongs to who, but kanai-san, the outside printer, I have to do hers.
Yeah.
I have a long list of stuff to finish today, you know. God, I got a long list of stuff to finish today. There's a lunch meeting, and then all that paper preparation, and I got a list of things to go over with you.
Yeah.
And we have to work out the key. We have a real key problem. Some of the employees here don't have keys.
Yes.
And you've been coming in 8:30 and leaving at 5.
Yeah.
And if you can time lag that 1 hour for the next 10 days, I don't know, I've meant to mention it last week, so you talk with your wife about it, I don't know. Come in at 9:30, then you can do the opening. And if you're an hour later at 6, then you can do the closing. Staff goes at 5:30.
I think we should be able to.
And if Catherine, I don't know what your family situation is. But, But that would really solve everything for me, because
Okay.
you're then
Yeah.
the key man, you know. And on the weekends when you're not here, it turns out that Kawai-san is scheduled to be here every weekend day
Oh, nice.
when I'm not here, and he's totally capable of doing that.
Yeah.
He's normally here early anyway, and of course he's staying late anyway. So
Yeah. And he's still printing quite a bit, is that right?
yes, he's busy printing, of course. Yes. As far as the inbox over the weekend, I did almost nothing.
Okay.
Just so you know, I processed those 2 orders, the ones that had the late PayPal
Yeah, it came in
things.
late.
We got them out of here. You'll see the
Oh,
postage thing.
thanks.
But I didn't write to the people. So what's the story? Whatever. Just tell them that PayPal didn't send your payment through. I don't know what to say. So. And then I've done nothing else.
Okay.
I started, I think it was Saturday morning or so, I started taking out the subscription PayPals to get them out of the way, but I just gave up. There was just so much going on yesterday.
Who's going to take the paper out while Dave's away?
Good question.
That's
another thing.
exactly what someone else
So-
said. Good question. So, how long does it need to be out?
No, the thing is, now this is really, really cold season. This is February. That room, once they turn the heater off, that room itself goes really cold. And none of them at the moment are doing super long, extensive jobs.
Yeah.
Once she starts sushi gats, that will be the case, but that's still way down the road.
Yeah.
So I'm just suggesting they just leave the paper on their bench. This is the middle of winter. We don't really need it to be frozen every night. If this was August, we would have a problem.
Yeah.
But it's February, so
Little
just tell
chance
them.
of mold.
No, nothing. And they're all short jobs. They're finished within 2 or 3 days. So I'll chat with them about it today. Just leave your paper on your bench. It's no big deal.
In other workshops, do people freeze their paper,
No,
or do they
of course
leave it
not.
out
Of
like
course
this?
not. They use formaldehyde,
Oh,
which I refuse to use that in a workshop, especially a workshop full of young girls who twice we've had the experience. They became pregnant while working here.
Yeah.
There's no way I want those girls throwing formaldehyde around the room and breathing it in.
yeah.
I mean, pregnancy is part of it, but just no. Just no.
Just now. Doing formaldehyde makes me think of dissecting frogs in high school.
I don't know, do they still use that stuff in schools? I mean, it's if it kills bugs and it kills mold, it kills, organic stuff. And we don't want to be using that with ourselves.
Yeah.
Some old-fashioned print workshops, there's 2 or 3 places you can really get in trouble. One is the formaldehyde, and another is on poisonous pigments. We have pigments. I've got some pigments at home which we do not bring to this workshop, and that I would not even use myself.
Yeah.
That are absolute illegal, toxic, poisonous substances. And we don't do that anymore. There's no necessity for it. Just to make a certain tinge of yellow on the pigment, we're going to use arsenic. No, thank you.
Yeah.
But the old guys in the older workshops, they just slap that stuff around.
Huh. How can...
Well, no, that's why you don't see any old printers. It's one of the reasons why you don't see any old printers.
Yeah.
The first few years I was here, I was astonished at how many funerals, literally how many funerals. Stomach cancer, lung cancer, stomach cancer, lung cancer. Bang, 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 bang.
Huh.
Smoking and grotesque stuff in your workshop and zero exercise. They just sat down and didn't. They were just old guys. Okay, blah, blah, blah. You know how it goes. So no way, we don't play those rules.
Yeah. Doesn't formaldehyde make the prints stink? There's formaldehyde.
Well, no, the print
Hundreds of
itself isn't bathed in formaldehyde. What you do is the water that we use to moisten the paper for printing has, a cap full of formaldehyde dumped into the bucket. So it's in there. The room, when you go in the room, it smells like something, a little bit of a hospital or something.
Yeah.
And one of the old guys, he's dead now, Seki-san. The first time I visited his house, I opened the front door to the house and you can feel maybe there's a clinic next door or something like this.
Yeah.
And when you go up the stairs to his room, when you open his printing room, my eyes started watering as I went in his printing room. And I'm like, what's this? What's this? No, you get used to it. And literally my eyes were watering. Wow. And I'm like, I've got to get out of here. I'm going to die.
Yeah.
And it must have been in a heavy summer, and he's doing a batch of big Shinhaga prints with 50 impressions and whatever.
Yeah. While we're on the subject of the I'm fine attitude, how's Chon-san's hand doing?
I don't know. Good question. I don't know. I haven't heard an update.
Yeah. a lot of prints come from other workshops reeking of cigarettes.
Yes. Kubota-san, we've almost trained him, almost weaned him off it, but he's started to backslide. The first work we ever got from Kubota-san, we opened it up and, oh my God, what is this? You know, it stunk, literally stunk. Because he just smoked right there over the bench as he's doing it. So every sheet of paper was constantly exposed to this. And I told him, no problem, you'll work for us, I'm sorry, we can't handle this.
Yeah.
So it got better, but now he's been backsliding. Ito-Kura-san's the same. Ito-Kura-san, the prints we get from him are stinky and the margins are all covered with messy. In fact, that's part of my job today. I've got to fix that last bunch of Doi Hanga prints.
Yeah.
In fact, if I finish this up now in a few minutes, that's what I'll be doing right now at the end of this stream.
Said, why not use a larger chisel for the border? And someone said you're really close to the carved line, so you might. So.
Well, I did. I used a fairly large chisel. What did I do? I came through here pretty close to that border. You know, I mean, as close as I dare. In fact, I was on the border, a couple of places, you know, right up to it, and then I cleared away. And I don't really see how I could get a larger chisel. Bingo. I mean, I did it. You know.
Now you're just clearing
It's step 3, and we've talked before. Step 1 is cut the lines. Whatever lines you're cutting is step 1 is cut the lines. Step 2 is clear away as close as you can get with tools that are as large as you can use. And step 3 is these bullnose chisels to just clean up the last step or more. This is the normal way. I don't see how I could make it more efficient. You know? It's a very efficient process, and it's neat and clean, and it does the job. And anytime people are watching, if I'm in the shop here doing this, clearing with the larger chisels, the comment I hear all the time from everybody is, oh my God, don't go so close, be careful, you know, because they can't believe what's going on. And yet I know where I am, you know, controlling it, like you just saw me do it. You know, I didn't mess it up, you know. But when you're watching, it's a different story. It's, oh God, look at that, he's going so close, you know.
Yeah.
Because I'm whacking the persuader, you know. There'll be like a little face here or something, and I'm clearing out, and I'm whacking the persuader here right towards the face, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a bit left here, these last 2.
You mentioned other printers there. Smoking, had bad chemicals, and never exercised. So someone asked, do you lift? What kinds of exercise?
No, myself, and I wasn't really trying to point fingers, you know. Well, I was, I guess, whatever. Myself these days, here in the workshop, we do a few things differently. We've got our legs down in the pit instead of sitting on top of our legs, so there's much less stress on our bodies like this. We're making really actually quite small prints that don't involve a whole lot of massive physical effort like those guys do. And as far as exercise myself go now, no. When I was still living back out in western Tokyo, in Hamura and Ome, I swam regularly. I was on my bicycle all the time. Here in Asakusa, I do almost no exercise, and it's not so good. And I could be criticized for it, whatever. My girlfriend is worried about it. She was here last night for dinner. She dropped by.
Oh, fun.
And she didn't bug me about it because she knows that there's nothing I can do about it right now. But so no, I don't get as much exercise as I should. Not sure what else I can say.
So don't you do Nagio Taiso, radio exercise? I haven't seen many people do that. I've heard about it.
In the summer, this is a big deal in the summer, of course. Every morning at whatever it is, 6 to 6:30 all parks. So the idea is the school kids do it in some holidays. And here over on the Sumida River Park, it's there every morning.
Oh, okay.
There's a taikon nearby, and in the taikon garden they do it. It must be every day of the year, I think. And if you live nearby, you get the announcements. I don't know, not enough exercise. I'm in pretty good shape, I think, for somebody 67. I think if you lined up all the 67-year-olds in Tokyo in one line and checked them all out, I think I'd be pretty close to the good end of the line.
Are there new tools with carbide tips and ergonomic grips, or mainly just wood and steel?
What's the question? Are there such things like this?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's all kinds of new tools.
Yeah. Anything you...
Well, we're happy with this one. We use it, sharpen it, use it, sharpen it, use it, sharpen it. I don't know. Getting nice blades is not really a problem for us because, of course, the people who make blades are not making them just for woodblock printmakers. You know, carpentry and all kinds of people need blades like this. So although the number of shops selling woodblock printmaking tools is low, the number of blacksmiths making blades is okay.
Yeah.
So it's not a crisis for us to get steel. I'm very happy with these kind of tools. They do the job we want very nicely. The whole idea about modernization and efficiency and all that stuff, we're doing fine the way we like to do it. You know.
Does Dave use anything like a ruler to do those straight lines?
On this print I didn't, but yes, we do have a ruler. I've got a special knife that we use. We talked about it on a previous stream. It's in my bag here somewhere. We've got a knife that's cut with a very, very obtuse angle, and we use it against a ruler. Put a steel ruler down and run it against the ruler. And the point being, instead of just when you've got a knife like this with a tip, it can easily move and vary. It can wander left to right. When you've got a whole lot of steel inside the wood, it's difficult to turn corners. So of course it stays as much as possible straight on the line. So. But no, I cut this one without. I cut it by eye. I think just under the scope here, just cut by eye. If you use a ruler too much, the things start to look mechanical. You know. The general rule in nuclear reproductions about a ruler is if there's lines in the print that are architectural objects, you know, the post of the room or the back wall, or a building edge or something like this. If they're wavery, they look a bit strange, so you would do those with a ruler. But any straight line that is something else, a pattern in the kimono or whatever, you would never use a ruler for that because it would look too mechanical.
Since you casually mentioned having dinner with your girlfriend last night, people are asking, you have time to have a girlfriend? And was she? But yeah,
she's not happy with the way things have gone the last few years. She lives out near my home out there in Ome, which is why we met each other out there, of course.
Yeah.
And we've known each other for more than a quarter century. I was divorced back in 1993. I met her some years after that, and we've known each other since then. And over the years, we've been closer and a bit farther apart as life has gone. She had grandchildren and spent a lot of time with them. I had this business in Osaka and spent a lot of time with this. So we're not as close as we were. And sometimes it's frustrating for her. Because I tend to forget a little bit and get too wrapped up in stuff here. She'll call and say, I haven't heard from you for a while. She won't nag. Haven't heard from you in a little while. She doesn't do it like this, but the feeling is there. And clearly I've neglected her a bit more than I should do. So. It was her birthday a few days ago. I remembered, and it's okay. Yeah, but because I don't live out there, it is a bit more awkward sometimes.
People started a discussion about various workout techniques and stuff. Different people, lots of different ideas of what's best.
I think rather than what physical muscles you're playing with and stuff like that, the best workout technique is one that you enjoy, so that you keep doing it. If it's a chore and you don't do it, then it's not there. So
then it becomes nothing.
Yeah, so I guess so. If there was a philosophy involved, that would have to be the philosophy. Choose something you enjoy doing to make sure you try and keep doing it, I guess.
Yeah.
You're not specifically doing anything like that, right? You ride your bike to the train station or something, that's about it, right?
Yeah.
Are you happy with that, or do you think that it should be something you should do, join a sports club or something? Or?
No, on Saturdays I ride usually farther too. I do extra because it's fun. It's something I enjoy, like you just said. I enjoy being on a bike. So it's not going out.
Is she bugging you about it to do more or something? Or?
No, I just like to ride. Usually put baby on the back seat, go. He likes to be on a bike too.
Getting heavy though, right? Two years ago?
He is getting heavy. It's becoming more of a workout.
Weight training,
Yeah.
So, okay, we are finished in quotes. First pass, finished this set of blocks. It now goes to proof printing. And based on what we find with the proof printing, we need absolutely some adjustments. And let's I don't know where we are on the camera here, sir.
You're right in the middle. It looks good.
We have the key block, which we haven't used the back. The key block. And then we have 6 color faces. If you pop up over the left corner here, it says 2019 series or something. So here's the key block for the black lines. And then I don't know if I can do this in order of printing, but whatever, let's see. On top of this, we will then do a light background color of pale, pale red pink. It's the part that you see under the street light. That's the only place this is really visible in a couple of the cherry blossoms. And then going up from there, and I really don't have these in specific order. Let's just try and have a look at it. So there will be, this must be maybe the next one. This is the next part of the cone of light. And again, it's under most of the rest of the print. This is actually done like a reduction print. We could have made this whole thing with one piece of wood, except for the key block.
But then you couldn't use it again.
Yeah, then we couldn't use it again. So the color, in other words, we could have printed this first on, say, the 200 sheets of paper. Because it's got cut away the lightest parts. Then you cut away some more from here, giving you this block. And then you print your 100 sheets or 200 sheets or whatever it is. And then you cut away a bit wider and you use a slightly darker pigment. And you can see how it happens. It goes A plus B, A plus C, A plus D, and stuff like that. And that's the way the printers will start printing it. So that background mass of cherries is for the most part in 3 blocks. The lightest one there, followed by up a level, and then up a level. And the rest of the print is done with the other highlight colors. There's the one we saw yesterday, which will be the darkest, deepest black areas you see behind the people and up in the top 3 corners. Then there's another highlight block, which will be the red for the Torii gate, and some red, the lantern and part of the fence. And then over here where the 2 people are, good morning. This will not be red, but this will be a dark gray or something like that. And then the other highlight block, and this is mixed. This is part cherry blossoms. This is the part that you see in the original print at Jed Design as the red outlines around different cherries. And it's it comes out as more of a purple thing, I think. And this is the other area on the shrine roof. I don't know what kind of, it's kind of a light pale orange actually. So it's going to be fun, and it shouldn't be too difficult. And there's another step which you see here, which has no specific block. That last block that I just carved, we're also going to use it. This will be a question of testing. We're also going to use it as the vignette block. You can see on Jed's design that he's brought a gradation in the way they did around those old photographs. A shadow around from all the outside, to try and make the inside a bit lighter. Now that's something that could take an awful lot of time to print, because you can't do it all in one go. You got to maybe do a couple of corners and then do a couple of corners. So we'll see. We'll keep that in reserve. If I were doing it, I'd do top left, bottom right, flip the brush around, then I'd do it again, bottom left, top right with the brush, do it the other way around. So there we are. That's the block set for this year's subscription print number 5. Maybe one day I'll get royalties from it. Who knows? I don't know. Cool. The reason I did it is because Chon-san has got a small problem with his fingers and can't carve right now. And this just gets us ahead of the printing schedule. And when I get back from Vancouver, we have a meeting with Chon-san and how's your hand? And if he can't continue, then we have a real problem, and I become the main printer for this series for the rest of the year. The main carver for this series for the rest of the year.
Someone asked, do a significant number of orders go to resellers? Remember you mentioned someone wanted 5 great ways. I was thinking if I owned a store, I would want some prints to sell
No,
too.
we basically don't do that. And
Yeah.
the original business model that I had planned for Mokohankan was to do everything through resellers, to send to shops and stuff like that. It never worked. We just ran our own website and started selling direct to retail. And yet the price structure that I set up for Mokohankan was actually wholesale type prices. The prices we have on all the little prints out there were based on that covers our cost plus a bit. Somebody will buy 10 at a time, and out they go. And yet we ended up selling at retail at the wholesale prices.
Yes.
We had a guy in the shop yesterday, can I get a discount? I said, I know, absolutely no. I mean, these are as rock bottom as we can possibly do. So with the growth of the internet and the whole concept of direct to consumer, we gave up on that business model.
Yeah.
Why feed another person? Why not keep the prices as low as possible, make them here at our factory, and put them right in the hands of the people who are going to consume them? I mean, that's the modern way for product distribution, I think. There's room for the Amazons to do their part, but we don't need that third party in between ourselves and our collectors. We're making so few prints.
Yeah.
We're talking about 10,000 items a year or something like that.
Yeah.
There's no reason to try and support a wholesaler. Do I have time to do this next job? Or are we going to sign off? What time is it now, Cameron? I've got no idea.
9:15.
9:15. Okay, well, let me just start what I'm going to do so people can see it, and then there's no way I can finish it all. The last part of the stream here, before we just sign off for a couple of weeks, you've seen this before. We get prints from the Doi Hunger Company. We have the blocks from the Doi Hunger Company, which we print ourselves neatly and cleanly the way we want to do it. But we also have Doi Hunger Company. They are sending the blocks out now to other printers in town, which is great in that we get prints for sale in the shop. But the downside is we here at Mokohankan can't control the quality of these things. Now, we had a lot of back and forth with the Doi Hunger people when we started doing this about 3 years ago, and we rejected a ton of prints. I'm sorry, guys, that's not what we were trying to sell in our shop.
Yeah.
And they still are making prints that we can't sell here. But this one printer they're using, Itakura-san, is, on many occasions, he's doing actually a really, really nice job. I don't think it's as nice as Namabe-san, because we're working with the Hasui prints, but they are acceptable, they're good. There's no goma in the sky, the registration is good. He's taken the trouble to put the wood blocks in a bath to spread them out so that they fit the key block. But one particular thing he will not cooperate with is the amount of pigment he leaves at the outside of the prints. And he says it doesn't care, they're going to mat him and put him in the frame anyway.
Yeah.
And that's his viewpoint. And it looks like a woodblock print. It shows him it's a handmade woodblock print, but actually he's just freaking lazy. That's all it is. It just takes an extra few seconds when you're doing an impression. You've seen our video. Sugu-san, she got that little metal thing she spoon with it. So I have to clean each and every one of these prints. This one's actually not so bad.
Yeah, I was going to say, that one looks pretty good.
Some of them
for
are
exactly what I'm saying.
grotesque. Some are grotesque. I spent hours on my own camera. I don't know what it is. Look at this stuff.
All those corners are nasty.
Look, there's absolutely no excuse for that. It just looks horrible. It just looks horrible. He says it doesn't care because they're going to mat it. They're not. The name is there. They're going to mat it so that we can see the name,
Yeah.
So, and I
How
got
many impressions would be in some of these, someone else?
Oh, I don't know, 30, 35, 40 or so. I think it's probably not much above 40, but we're around there.
That's plenty.
Yeah, it's enough, and that's one reason why the cost is what they are. These things are going to go. What are they in the shop? They're $25,000, right? With US bucks, that means about $225 or something like that. So. Actually, we do more because we bundle in express shipping with the insurance and stuff. So they're about $290 or something. I forget what they are.
Yeah, online.
And they're really, really well done. Beautifully done. So anyway, so that's my next topic. Let me try and get a stand here. I'll need a wood block.
How long did it take to carve these? These are not just carved by Dave.
No. This is carved before I was born. I didn't carve these. This is Showa 9. I was born in Showa 26, which was 1951. Do the math. This is Showa 9. What year is that? Kira-san just shakes her head. Come on! Come on! 26 minus 9. And then do the same thing, minus 51. So, anyway, where's a piece of wood here? I'm going to put these on a base to bring it up to level and find my scope.
In the 30s, or 35. I think. Oh wait, no, in the 40s.
So the way we're going to do this, we got, is that Kai sound? We're up and running, so there's no time here, clearly. Let me just show what we're doing. The idea is, because the washi paper is so thick, and because these colors are not heavily, thickly imprinted into it, normal printing goes pretty much right through to the back. Even if you started shaving paper off the front, you can't do it because the color just goes right down, 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 down. But here, look at this, it's clean on the back. So these parts which show crap, they were not heavily printed, they just touched it. So which means it's just up on the top surface. And if I get my knife here, am I on camera? I don't know.
Yeah, you're right in the middle.
Okay. If I get my knife here and slide it carefully like a scalpel underneath this blue, I'll turn it around here, come back at it again. Bunch of fooling around. I shouldn't have to do this, but whatever. We can pull off the top part with the blue stain on it. And what we've got left is enough body of paper here. This is not perfect, it's not invisible mending. You can still see something. Part of the blue is too deep there for me to scrape off. But we've got most of the crap out of the way. And that was a light, easy example. Let's go to part where it's a really thick and rich, murky black.
Someone said, why can't you use a solvent for that? That would
Well,
dissolve.
yeah, I mean, sure, it's gonna dissolve stuff. I mean, this paper is gonna last a couple hundred years. Rather than try something destructive, I would just rather leave it.
Yeah.
So we don't want anything destructive. So all we're gonna do is simply shave. And there we go. Look at this. I'm not going to be able to get all of it because in a couple of places it is too deep.
He did it for too many of the impressions.
Yes, exactly. Or hit it too hard with his thumb and push the pigment into the paper.
And your knife has to be quite sharp for
Yeah,
this
and actually at
stage,
the moment
doesn't
it's not sharp enough for this, so before I get on. But there you can see the idea. There we're doing. We haven't got all of it, and it's still a bit murky, but at least it's no longer this mind-bendingly blob of black crap all over the place, you know. We can probably get a part of this away too.
You're like a hairdresser, but for paper. You just trim it a bit.
Is that it? I don't know. I'm thinking more like a brain surgeon. Anybody got an aneurysm they want fixed? Just come on, drop around sometime. Make an appointment. No appointment necessary. Brain surgery at your... That's how we do it. So, and it shouldn't be necessary, and maybe we should even just leave it, and when people in the shop say, how come it's so dirty, just say, hey, it's a woodblock print, it's handmade, that's what you get. But I can't bear it. I can't bear it. Lots of people want to frame it with the lettering and stuff showing. And now, at least now, it's reasonable. It still does look like a woodblock print, but it doesn't have the grotesque black smear.
Yeah.
So I can't pretend to take it all out, but we get a good chunk of it. So. I can't go too far because the risk of destroying the paper going through to the back is too big. And if this was a super, super valuable thing and I could spend like 3-4 hours on it, we could actually replace the paper. We could actually get a piece of similar paper from a corner somewhere and dig deeper here and feather the edges, get a replacement piece, feather the edges and glue it in. And it could be done as invisible mending, the way a tailor might do for a very expensive suit that has a scratch on it or something like that. It could be done, but it's a question of what cost. This, our margin on this print is only a couple of thousand yen, so I cannot spend too much time on it.
Yeah.
So I think what we'll do for the end of this here, I'm going to do that this morning, but before we sign off this sheet, let me just run through this folder and let's see what's in there. These are prints that later this afternoon will be going out into our shop. This is, what's this? Sumida. We're looking at. So And these are prints from Tsuchiya Koitsu and Kawase Hasui, published by the Doraemon. This is Tsuchiya Koitsu. Let's see what we got. So what I should do is I should pick them down. Here we are. This one he struggled a bit because the sizing on the paper was not so smooth. You know, our printers complain about this too. Sometimes I don't do the sizing very well. You can see a bit of model pattern on the back, but he's actually done it quite well. Quite well. I'll pass these over there. I don't know where else to put them here. What's this? Oh, this is the most famous one. Yeah. Kawase Hasui. Many, many blocks, many, many gradations, many overlays. Nice depth. I love this. The depth in the back of this. Look, Kai-san, hello, hello, hello. And then a splash of bright light. And I love this. Underneath the, the layers and layers that go in there. That's so cool. I just can't get enough of that. This is, Shinobatsu. It's a bit too gloomy for me, this one, but it's a bit of a nightmare for the printer when you're doing test printing. How many different greens, and how much blue to put in, and how much green to put in. It's insane to figure this out. Because when you're doing your first underlays of green, you're not surrounded by the dark yet, so you can't see the right tone. It's extremely difficult. Yeah. The actual applying the pigment to the paper difficulty is there also, but the concept of how deep to do it and where you're going to the end, because you can't see it at the beginning stages. Yeah. This is astonishingly difficult work, and Udakura-san really does have the experience to pull this off. Yeah. I'm very happy that we're still able to put these in the shop. Oh, this is a famous one too, of course. This is home for us, Asakusa Kinryuzan. Yeah. This is no longer in existence. This is the pagoda before the war. The current pagoda was rebuilt after the war. It's the same shape. They moved it onto the other side of the temple. And he's done a nice job on this too. I saw the blocks for this. It's a piece of wood to die for. It's just got the right beautiful consistency. And this has been printed so many times now that the wood grain has worn. You couldn't print the wood grain here if you tried. So the winter wood and summer wood have just blended into one. So you get a beautiful, velvety, smooth background. Yeah.
I'll just take one of each of these.
This is also home.
Was that Kiyomi's Udera? Yes, it is. And then
the one with the blue stone. Yeah, this is now Asakusa. This is also Asakusa. This is Neomon, which also burned down during the war and has been rebuilt. And no, it wasn't that tall, but whatever. Artistic license. Artistic license. No. What has he got it? He's got it as almost 4 human heights, and it wasn't. It was like 3 meters tall.
It's a small child, dressed in a nice kimono.
Okay. So. And there's the one we saw first. Okay, so there we go. I think it's time for us to sign off, Cameron-san. It's 9:30 now, and I'm heading out for my vacation in Vancouver to see my family. I'm gone tomorrow. I'll be back on the 23rd Japan time, but I'm going to take a couple of days to stabilize. Readjust. And also, I don't know what work I'll be doing. I've got to figure out what work to do. I'll post on the Twitch channel page, has an image, and I will post information on that image about what's happening to the stream, when we're coming back up, and what we'll be doing. So for information there, keep your eye on that. And of course, we'll post on Facebook and stuff like that when we have a schedule ready. Okay. So I'm out of here now for 2 weeks, guys. So now it's time to say thank you very much to the fans and stuff. It's really good fun for us to do this and having comments and stuff. Yeah. And we've got a channel here that's just about the right size. If we went to tens and tens of thousands of people, we wouldn't be able to have this conversation. And we've heard this. We heard this yesterday. A bunch of raiders came in. Yeah. And within minutes, a couple of them had been converted. They just started asking questions. The chat people responded. And one of the raiders said, I can't believe this. I asked a question and 3 different people replied to it. And I guess, so this is
people
something
actually helpful.
Yeah, there's a community here. There's a community. And I really feel this, and I'm very grateful to this and to have it. Yeah. So anyway, I'm talking too much. Time for us to get to work here today. Okay. Thanks again, gang, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Cameron-san, sign us off, please.
All right. See you later.